For more content like this, log on to gibbopresents.com.
It's Gibbo, and right now I'm once again joined by Madhouse Records recording artist Cham. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm sitting on top of the world.
You are set to release Lawless, your first album since 2006 on June 9th. This is a name you have used for a single, a clothing line, a mixtape, and now the album. So let me start by asking, how do you define Lawless? What does it mean to you?
Lawless to me means not putting my music within a box or within a space. You understand? We are citizens of this world with no borders or boundaries. As our creative juices flow, we go wherever and do whatever to promote this music, which is reggae and dancehall, and that's Lawless in my term.
So you're not sticking by norms, previously trodden paths, you're breaking new grounds.
Breaking new grounds. You can't put us in a box. That means you can't say this is not dancehall or this is not reggae just because we fuse it with different sounds. You have to just accept it because it's Lawless.
Was there a certain point in time when you adopted this Lawless approach? Was there an incident or a situation which made you change the way you act and think?
Yeah, I think the whole concept came from me going back to Jamaica probably 4 years ago to promote, I think it was a single Wine, the Wine and Turn Up. And there was a big change within the Jamaican music space in terms of radio disc jockeys, and a lot of people were telling me that the disc jockeys wanted this to be edited, words that we never used to edit in early 2000 or mid 2000. They wanted it to be edited, and a lot of Payola was going on, and I wasn't going to be a part of that Payola. So we decided not to approach the radio and went straight to the streets, and that's how we came up with the concept Lawless. I went straight to the streets first and let the records blow up from the streets, and then the radio stations would adapt to the records because the streets is really where the power is. So that's how the concept came about.
When you decided you weren't going to participate in Payola, did you have to pause for a second and think, how am I going to navigate things here? Or was your plan of action instant? Did you come up with it immediately?
It was something that came up right away. I didn't have to think for a day or nothing. I knew that I wasn't going to get involved into Payola, for sure, because everyone get their own pay to do their work. You understand? And it's not a route that we have ever taken, myself and Madhouse and Dave Kelly. So right as it came about, right as we got word of what was really going on and how the business was being run, I decided that, you know what, let's go with the concept of just going to the streets. The word Lawless didn't came about until probably the evening when I was on the phone with Dave Kelly. And I said, you know what, let's call the movement Lawless. And he said, yo, it's perfect. Let's probably print some t-shirts. Let's do some hats. And that's how it all came about. And we started just wearing the t-shirt as a team in the streets, and people started asking where they could get the t-shirts. And that's when we decided, you know what, let's do some mass production. Let's get a real designer to come up with the concept of how we're gonna go about with the artwork for us, the name Lawless. And ever since then, it's just been a movement that not even us can keep up with. It's really bigger than us right now.
How rife would you say Payola is in Jamaica right now as a percentage? Roughly how many radio stations, disc jocks are taking part in this?
I would say Payola is there a good bit. If you notice, a lot of the disc jocks, they are into production also. So to them, it's a competition. You understand? And instead of them promoting a record that's really good or really good for dancehall and reggae music, they would rather promote their own. You have disc jockeys that are really fair and that are real disc jockeys also, that are really doing the work that needs to be done. But at the same time, you have a lot of them that are taking money to play records.
Is there a way to get around this problem or not?
I don't think there's a way to get around it. You have to just do what you have to do. You have to just keep your core group happy, keep your team, come up with a strategy every time you have a record to promote, and just go with it. It's everywhere, you know. It's not just in Jamaica. It's everywhere. It's in America. It's in the UK. It's in Europe. It's everywhere. You think about it. It's everywhere.
As I mentioned earlier, this is your first album since Ghetto Story in 2006.
Yeah.
When did you decide it was time to release a follow-up?
We were in a tug-of-war with the record label, trying to get off the record label because they were going in a direction that we didn't want to go. So we couldn't really release a record before we got out of the deal. As soon as we got out the deal, I know that, I need to put together a good body of work that we could service the fans. And that was probably 2 years ago. We kind of sat and decide what direction we want to go in terms of music and sounds. And this is what we came up with.
So did you have something ready to go 2 years ago, or have you been altering and adding to the project since then?
No, I didn't have nothing to go. We were kind of just basically making singles. Like you had Wine, you had Turn Up, Wine hit the Billboard at the time. You had Backway, which is huge, but we can't just put all those songs on the record. So we wanted to make as much new songs as possible. I wanted to do at least 10 brand new songs, and that's how I see it. As of now, I'll be giving you an album probably every summer. Every 12 months, you'll be getting an album, but only 10 tracks. 10 brand new tracks, and for the year, I'll be promoting those 10 tracks with at least 7 to 8 videos.
What do you think the right formula is, if there is one, when it comes to an album in terms of brand new tracks and previously unreleased material? What's the right balance?
It's your feel. It's your feel of the music. And that's where Lawless come about again. It's your feel and how you feel the music and how the producer feel the music. It's all about a good team. An artist is as good as the producer. If you follow me, probably I'll give you all dance music that you just get up and go crazy. But then the producer would say, you know what, we need to slow it down. We need one of those tracks that really slow it down. And on this album, we have a few. We have Hero, that I think the fans are going to go crazy when they hear Hero. They have never heard me in that form or in that style or delivery. Never ever in my career. And it has even surprised me.
It's funny that you said you would do all dance tracks, because to me, one of the things that you seem to do better than nearly any other dancehall artist is balance the conscious dancehall tunes and the party or the tunes that appeal to the ladies. So is it Dave Kelly who's balancing you out? Is he the one who's saying we need to do a conscious tune for every party tune?
No, Dave is the type of individual that doesn't even go out. So in terms of vibe, he kind of looks towards me for vibe. You have, I would say, both of us balance out each other. Because you have a time when I would say, let's go for the females, and he would say, nah, let's try this way. Or let's make both songs, and then we will wait up in the studio and see which is the better track right now. So I would say both of us balance out each other.
Because it's not just the tunes that cater to the ladies from you which get a great reaction in the dance, because I've seen some of your more conscious dancehall tunes get huge forwards out there as well.
Yeah, that's it. It's I think from day one, from my first single that came out, The Mass, it was all about social commentary. And then the second single was all for the females. And we have been like that from day one, where I can make a song that make rude boys go crazy and then make the females want to jump off a house. You understand? So it's a good balance as an artist to kind of have that type of flexibility and ingenuity and creativity. And I think that kind of help to give you a longevity career.
Can you talk me through the process you and Dave Kelly went through putting this album together in as much detail as you like?
Firstly, Dave turned off his phone for like 4 months. I would hear from him probably 4 a.m. to 5 a.m. in the mornings. He didn't call, he didn't text. I just heard from him like 5 a.m. He probably sent me a text and said, okay, I finished the next track. You're not going to hear from me. I'm kind of locked off. And I just let him do him. Just get the beats done. And as soon as the beats were done, I went in the studio, I listened probably like 20-something beats. I kind of picked through the ones that I was feeling. He had some favorites that he was feeling also. And when Dave have a favorite, you have to listen to that favorite. You have to give that favorite a good ear and try and make it work, because normally 99% of the time he's right. So that's how our process went in terms of getting the beats done. And this is the first I've seen Dave work like that, like kind of just locked off everything. You couldn't get him on his cell phone, nothing at all. Just locked off in the studio for like 3-4 months and made beats. Then after that, I went in and we started writing. Writing. I would come home and I have a pre-studio at home where I would kind of work out the delivery scheme, how I want to deliver the record. But at the same time, it comes down to the producer. Because if I get in the studio and that delivery is not right, he's going to say, you know what, I need you to deliver it, try it this way. But for most of the songs, what I've worked out at home, I've really came up special that we really go ahead with, you understand? But it's been a different process, this album, in terms of how we worked on it from Ghetto Story.
Well, what are your main takeaways from releasing an album through a major label as you did with Ghetto Story, and what are the benefits doing things as you are now independently?
Independently, you can do whatever you want to do. There is no A&R telling you this track can't make it, or this should be the single, or that should be the single. It's your vibe. It's your vibe and the vibe that counts. You and the person that made the record. That's Dave. We sit and we say, okay, which one are we going to go with first? Let's go with this. Which one are we going to go with second? Let's go with this. If it was for the record label, Ghetto Story wouldn't even be a single. They told us at the time that Ghetto Story wasn't a track that they thought could go to popular radio, that they thought would make that popular status. You understand? And look what Ghetto Story did. I think they had Boom Boom with Rihanna as the single. We wanted that for the second single. They didn't want Ghetto Story at all for a single. They thought it was too hard. And to me, I thought that Ghetto Story was the perfect record, a blend between my roots of dancehall and Jamaican culture and how we grew up in Kingston, with also that fresh thing that the world at the time didn't get. At the time, there was no hardcore song like that hardcore. Every song on the radio was basically pop music. Ghetto Story was really hard, and I thought that it was the right move at the time. Because we have this saying that the greatest risk taker is the greatest gainer. That means you never follow what's going on in the market. You kind of come with your own and try to, if the crowd is going left, you go right. Try to stand out, and I think it worked for us 99 times out of 100. All the time, we never ever follow what's going on in the market. As our creative juices flow, we stick to the philosophy of using the studio to have fun. You don't just follow and say, okay, that's going on and this is a safe way to do it. Let's do it safe. When everyone else was making dance track, we came out with Fighter featuring Junior Gang, and look what it did to the whole world. You understand?
Why do you think the label didn't want to go with Ghetto Story? Was it a lack of understanding of the dancehall market, or was it that particular track?
I think it was so hard. They thought that radio stations wouldn't give it a chance, especially crossover radio, because it was a really, really hard, authentic track. And sometimes you never know. No one has that power to know what song is gonna fly. You have to give the fans that power. Just give it to them and let them decide. But we knew that Ghetto Story was special. Firstly, 75% of Ghetto Story is my real life. The next 25 is what we have grown up and seen in the streets of Jamaica. And if you really think about it, you have people from Brazil, you have people from Africa that says every single line out of Ghetto Story is their real life. So when you find a record like that, that kind of emulates or mirror people's life, there's no way you can hold it back.
You're not an artist who releases a new single every week or who jumps on every rhythm. And I feel this has been an effective approach for you, but I also think it wouldn't work for every artist. Tell me why you have adopted this strategy and why it works for you.
If it was for me alone, you'd get a track every week. It's really Dave Kelly. At the time, I was a young kid coming out, and he had already done it with Buju Banton. He had already done it with Terror Fabulous. You name them, he had already done it. So who am I to really question the formula and how to really approach the business when you have someone that's been there, done that with the greatest of the greats in the game? And I stuck to the formula, and the formula got us to this point. The only thing moving forward, instead of doing 50 singles, we will give you an album every year. And that album, I think, should have, which is my decision. If it's up to Dave, he'll probably give you 15 or 16 tracks. He's one of them dudes that produce beats every day. My decision to give you 10 tracks on that album. But as far as making records, we are always in the studio. We never stop making records. We are always, Dave have songs that the world has never heard. Dave have a combination, a duet. Listen to this duet. Beenie Man, Bounty Killer, Baby Cham. And the world has never heard it. That shows you it's not an individual that strives for money, because you know the type of money you could get if you should license that track out. Everyone would want it. But to him, it wasn't as good as the songs that we had out. And all three artists thought that song was way better than what we had out. But it's just him. He's just one of them enigmatic individuals that strive on perfecting the art of making music. And he will never just release a track because it's the artist that's hot right now, or it's a fad that's going on, or we need a track out. It will have to be right. And I think the formula of me choosing quality over quantity stems from Dave, but I also saw the vision and bought into the whole vision and the concept.
So when was this track with yourself, Beenie and Bounty recorded, and will it ever see the light of day, or is it somewhere in the Dave Kelly archives, never to be heard?
That song was recorded in 1999. I was a kid, and just picture myself in the studio with two dancehall giants, two icons, one to my left, one to my right. And at the time, they both weren't on speaking terms. So no one ever could get them in the studio together. One to my right, one to my left, and they weren't on speaking terms. But the delivery, you could sense that they were going at each other with every line and having fun. And at the end of the session, they couldn't help it but talk to each other. And that was a great thing, just to sit there and see both of them kind of getting together and reasoning without any form of feud or bad vibe, just having fun in the studio.
So a couple of years ago, when they released the collaboration Legendary that was produced by Esco, and at the same time it made the news, people were saying it was the first time they had been in studio together.
Yeah, right.
It was not really true. You knew all along?
We knew all along. We had them in the studio from 1999. And at that time, their feud was even more deep than now. That feud the other day was regular. 1999, that was when they were at the peak of their feud, and both of them were at the peak of their careers.
Today, videos are an extremely important tool to promote singles when an increasing amount of people go to YouTube to consume music. Were you ahead of the curve in terms of realizing the importance of videos? I say this because I remember Vitamin S getting played regularly on TV here in the UK when few other independent dancehall artists, as you were at the time, were getting that kind of on-screen exposure in this country.
Yeah, we figured it out from way early. I kind of figured it out because at the time a lot of artists didn't want to spend that money and invest in music videos. At the time, probably 300,000, 400,000 Jamaican dollars seemed like a real expensive deal to make a video. And every single song at the time that we made that we knew had the potential to really fly, I would go into my own pocket and make that video. Every video that I've done, I've used money from my own pocket. And we kind of stuck to that philosophy of just kind of having visual to the music, and it paid off for us very early in my career.
You have your own backing band, the Mad People Gang.
Yeah.
Some reggae artists have their own bands, not so many dancehall artists. What was the reason you decided to form the band? And from an artist perspective, why do you prefer performing with them?
When I was just coming up, I just graduated from high school, Calabar High School. I was hanging out at Penthouse Records because that's where Madhouse Records used to record from. And you had artists like the great Buju Banton. And Buju at the time was doing dancehall music, hardcore dancehall. And after studio, you would see Buju downstairs in the rehearsal room every evening, working out with his band. And that's how I came up, seeing every dancehall act performing with their band. So in the late 90s, myself and Bounty Killer used to perform with Rough Cut a lot, but I didn't have my own band. When we released the first album, Dave kind of put together a band for myself by the name of, I think, what was the name of the band? Hard Drive. And we used to go on the road a lot with that band, but when we moved the studio to Miami, we couldn't get to create as much and rehearse as much with the band because the band members lived in Jamaica and I was in Miami because the studio is here, my team is here, my family is here. So every time we had concerts, I had to fly to Jamaica for 2-3 days and then leave from Jamaica to the concerts. But how much can you implement? How much new fusion, how much new sounds, how much new mixes, how much new arrangements can you really put together in 3 days that the band will remember for the concert? So it was really limited. Then probably 5-6 years ago, we came up with the idea that, that we need to form a band here. So I really can get together and put together some good work with the band. When you go to all these festivals as a dancehall act, if you just use your band 5 times for the year, when you hear the reggae bands, they're so much more tighter than your band because they do shows every single week or whenever. As long as they're doing shows, they're going to have the band. And I didn't want to be on the festivals or on a major concert with the reggae bands and felt some form of inferior. I hate that feeling. So I was like, you know what, let's put together the band. Whatever sacrifice we have to make, let's make it. And let's go on the road. And it's been a joy. It's been a joy. And we're on the road. And even these reggae bands now, after concert, would come over to us and congratulate us and say, you know what, I've never heard a dancehall band sound that tight. I would love to see what y'all are doing. But we're just copying the concept. And the link with me and Damian Marley also kind of fuse and funnel that direction. Because Damian is always saying, yo, when I saw you live with your band, but then it was really crazy. Probably you really need to really put together something here.
Before we finish, is there anything else you would like to mention or anyone that you'd like to big up?
I'd just like to big up the album. The album is scheduled to release June 9th, 2017. You have so much new tracks on the album. One of my favorites are Era. Next favorite is Get Drunk. Monday Wine is out now. Get Drunk. You can actually get it to listen if you pre-order the album on iTunes. I Don't Care. That's a next of my favorite track. I Don't Care. I Don't Care, and the reason being, it's one of them tracks that letting you know that you don't need the world all the time to be on your side. Sometimes it's good to be against, and to be that one that's left out. You understand? And sometimes when you feel like you are left out, that's when you channel all your inner energy and your inner drive, and you go even harder. I Don't Care is one of my favorite tracks, so I hope all the fans out there enjoy this album. We put a lot of work into the album, a lot of fusions, a lot of different sounds, and new sound, new look, new Cham, new delivery. So make sure y'all enjoy it. You're going to love it. I know you're going to love it. The sounds, the delivery, is totally different from what you have heard from me.
Lawless, the new album from Cham, as he said, will be available on June the 9th. Be sure to go purchase a copy, support him and dancehall music. Cham, thanks a lot.
Mados? Fully lawless. Bang.
Gibbo presents